Poverty in America is becoming more concentrated.
We know that the effect of being poor and living in a poor neighborhood is much worse than being poor and living in an integrated neighborhood, especially for children in terms of the kind of school that they go to or their exposure to crime.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing.
I see other families and they're out enjoying this and they're at the mall or they're at these events. My kids ask and I have to keep saying we can't.
Produced by Dane Calloway and Tanisha Calloway. Watch this brand new documentary, Mother Rosa, right now at DaneMakeYouThink.com.
This is a townhouse in Baltimore, in a dilapidated area, but I'm sure that you can find many of these types of homes in multiple cities across the U.S.
And on a deeper level, for too many people, no matter how much they work, it feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity.
Indigenous people once inhabited these types of homes, and they were in the middle class. In this type of situation, one of two things usually happens. It becomes a bad neighborhood because it's allowed to become run down, or it gets gentrified.
I think it's normal to only envision the National Mall, White House, and the Capitol when you think about DC, but DC is so much more. There are over 130 neighborhoods in the District of Columbia, and actually had the highest percentage of gentrified neighborhoods of any city in the nation between 2000 and 2013. Gentrification in the district started accelerating in the early 2000s when then Mayor Anthony Williams set a goal of reversing decades of population decline. The district then implemented neighborhood investment strategies that would in turn attract new residents. Washington, D.C.'s population steadily increased between 2000 and 2020, growing by over 120,000 residents.
In D.C., where I'm from, there's a lot of gentrification that takes place within the location of these homes. A lot of these homes belong to middle-class Black people, but property taxes were raised.
Mind giving me a short house tour?
Why not? Sure. We're actually going into the land. It's a hobbit home. So there you are. This is our living room where everybody likes to be together and chill. It's our open plan kitchen.
There's a rock in the kitchen.
This was embedded in the land. It's natural. Little portholes are actual natural light.
What's this?
This is my personal dinner set. I'll show you my master bedroom. Maintaining all the curvilinear lines, even the headboard is mosaic with a rounded edge. Everything is rounded. Master bathroom. We wanted to keep the natural feel. It's a very cute pool. It's a beautiful infinity view. And this is all natural. It can never be taken away because this is the forest land.
Mesmerizing.
But what is this?
The road out here just looks like a driveway with no house. This is the only earth-sheltered home in the city of Omaha. The city of Omaha, they really don't want, they want these houses built out rural. They don't necessarily want them in town.
This is a Cherokee townhome. But what is this? This is a townhome. This is a traditional townhome. Now, we've all heard of mound builders and pyramids, but why not the townhome? And yet, it's stated that America has the most pyramids and mounds. I wonder why.
Underwater ghost towns right here in Tennessee. We were hooked. Jennifer Watts is here with the Tennessee State Museum. She actually wrote an article about these locations, now lost to time. This absolutely sounds freaky. So tell us the story of why you're telling us this story.
Well, this is part of our junior curators blogs that we have at the Tennessee State Museum to kind of introduce Tennessee State history in a more fun, engaging way for teachers and younger students. And learned about them having to flood areas to build these reservoirs behind the new dams. And I started wondering, well, what happened to the people? And you get to that point where you get a question, you find the answer, but it leads to 12 other questions.
Yes. As we know, there are so many lakes in Tennessee, but Jennifer says some have secrets. I do want to, we have some really incredible footage of before and after. So I want you to explain how these sunken towns actually came to be. So what are we looking at?
So you see the nice town, the main roads, businesses, churches, schools are all going to be incorporated. And in just a few years, they're no longer there.
And in just a few years, here it is. This is actually an aerial view. And what are we looking at here?
So Willow Grove was a community that was flooded in the 1940s. So every so often, you'll get little peeks of the foundations of many of these buildings that were left behind.
And I do want to say that they were given, these people back in the day were given plenty of time before. So explain why exactly did they do this? You said you learned a lot about the TVA.
So the TVA, we had a lot of issues with flooding and erosion for the farmers in the communities. So the TVA is coming in years before, offering farmers the opportunity to learn new farming techniques, but showing how the control of the river flows would prevent the flooding and also prevent their farmland from just simply washing away. So there's a lot of benefits for the community. So they did have plenty of notice to kind of start planning on ahead what's going to happen.
Okay, very good, exactly, because I was worried about it. This is spanned across time, really and truly. So it was in the 30s, even up till the 70s, you say?
Yes.
1970s.
Yeah, late 1970s, Lake Tellico over in Monroe County, where we actually had two historic villages of the Cherokee Nation, one of which was Tanassi. UT Knoxville came out, excavated these original sites, and then the floodwaters came in. So they actually have monuments out there now where you can still kind of remember these communities.
Well, and
maybe it's because they told us that these were burial mounds instead of what they truly were, which are the original townhomes. Now, why is this important to begin with? Well, because this week we had the presidential debate, and one of the topics of discussion is the topic of immigration and funding for new homes.
When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago.
And I'm going to go deeper into this play on words within my next video. But I just wanted to touch on this for a moment because we have been lied to for way too long. This play on words and events that are shown to us by the media are a purposeful distraction, but not how you think it is.
It's like a lie. It's the opposite of like truth. It's the opposite of love, quite frankly. We're in Costa Rica. I had just finished doing ayahuasca. I had just like my heart chakra had just opened, like literally physically just opened. And we're having dinner with all these friends of mine, and we're driving in the middle of the dark back to the hotel. We had just finished dinner, and my mind is, I'm still in the medicine.
Yeah.
So I'm still
Getting downloads
and you know what I saw? I've never said this, but I'm gonna say this. I saw like the beauty and the power and the physicality of Black people. And you know what I saw? I saw that at some point in time, it was clear to me, at some point in time back then, Black people were actually the superior like race, the superior beings. And in that moment, when I saw it, I thought I was gonna die. I was having an ego death or some sort of, maybe you can tell me, some sort of like disconnection or something from a lie is what it was. Because then I thought, oh shit. What actually happened is they saw how powerful they were and they thought, we need to do something about this. And then that's when the energy shifted. And then that's where it's like, Black people feel less than.
The reason why history is repeated to us in the way that it is, with new images and new meanings, but with the same old words.
I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling.
Well, it's because there are things tied to these old words. And these old words could subconsciously remind us of the atrocities that took place in the past.
Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. We know that young families need support.
And that's because each child born has the DNA from generations before, which means that you carry the memories and the dreams of your ancestors. So they must keep us distracted so that we don't remember the truth. And the truth of the past is most memorable when you are a child. And why is this? Why is it that they have a constant immigration that they allow to take place here in America? Immigration is defined as the action of immigrate, which is to pass into a place as a new inhabitant or resident. This happens when you are born, and it happens every time your spirit is moved. When you pronounce the word as immigrate or immigration, you are really mispronouncing it. If we pronounce it as it is clearly written, it states, I'm migrant or I'm migration. So it's being shown in images as this and thrown off to someone else. But the I am in the front makes it personal. It's a self-personification. And that makes the true meaning not about foreigners at all. It's all about your in-migration. For the Indians of this land, this has been going on for way too long. When they change your name from Indian to Black or Negro, this is an in-migration. When they ask you to move from the East Coast and to the lands past the Mississippi, this was an in-migration. And when they moved you from below ground to above ground, this was an in-migration. This also goes back to why American Indians were referred to as low. They saw our offspring and stated, "He low, so let's train him," which is the definition of a junior. And this is an in-migration. Now here we are today, and they want you to move again for the purpose of control. And this is an in-migration. And I want you guys to see this, because this type of home makes it harder for people to profit off of you.
It was actually very cold out the first day we went in there. Because we're completely underground, the entire house is geothermal, so they didn't have to worry about freezing pipes or anything like that. That was the first time we really got introduced to the thermal efficiencies of the house. And one of the interesting things about living underground is our internal air only fluctuates 10 degrees year-round. And here's probably the biggest thing that I can convey about this house. The outside temperature does not dictate our temperature inside. The ground does. Since we've been here, it's never been below 64. And 74 is about the top end. So 10 degrees is it. That's it. Domes are actually very strong. That's why they build them, because it distributes that weight out onto the pilings. And we actually have a picture of a tandem twin screw cement truck on top of the house. And that's about 100,000 pounds of concrete on top of the house. And the other reason for these domes is the natural light comes in and refracts inside the dome. So, you know, you've got a large air mass, so it's not very confining. The other thing you'll notice is it's very quiet in here. Living underground, it is a natural sound dampening environment. This is actually a pretty busy road out here, and we just really don't hear much out there. There's no power, there's no communications, there's no phone lines. It's all buried. So there's no lines. They all go to this tempering chamber, and then the tempering chamber drops down to the top of the house. So this white pipe that's on top of the tempering chamber, that's for the radon system. We have a commercial radon system that's always running. And
just a naturally occurring gas?
Yep, it's a naturally occurring gas. And we can actually take in radon from any, from the walls, from the ground, and because we're completely underground.
So they have to show you this.
On the stage here tonight, often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
Wait a minute.
And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America.
Because they don't want you to focus on this.
To meddle. To meddle is to interfere in something that is not your business. So the government is always meddling in the affairs of the ordinary citizen. To meddle, to stick your nose in, if you like. So he's always meddling in his son's affairs. Also, we use this word meddle with the idea of to touch or to handle, but without permission. Parents very often meddle in their children's affairs.
I'm just here to make you think.